ya for the critical issues and conversations that matter most to you. Keep it locked to KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got Kamala covered.
Hey Zoe, I'm calling your show, 'cause I need to know. Show me which way to go before I throw my man out the door.
Okay, hold on a second, Keisha. Just let me ask Ronald exactly what's going on, because it takes two to tango, and I need to hear his side of the story.
So she's driving me insane, got stress heavy on my brain. She keeps playing silly games, man, I'm about to bring the pain. We seem to fuss and fight every day and every night. Please give some advice so we can see the light, see the light.
So why is sex in toxic relationships often more exciting and thus more memorable than sex in long-term, healthy, equitable partnerships? That's what I want to break down in this video using 3 different buckets. Buckets number 1, we're going to talk about the difference between long-term mating strategies and short-term mating strategies. Next, I want to talk about Dennis theory and mind manipulation. And lastly, I want to talk about the power of erotic ambiguity and erotic attention. All right, let's talk about short-term mating skills versus long-term mating skills. And even though from a bird's eye perspective, it's kind of the same tools you need for both, the aim of the game is sort of similar, they're very distinct. Kind of like mini putt versus actual golfing. So when somebody is very good at short-term mating skills, liken that to being great at mini putt. And somebody who is really great at long-term mating skills is an exceptional golfer. We could go on and on about what it takes to be a good long-term lover, but in this video, we're just going to focus on the short-term mating skills. First and foremost, if you want to excel at short-term mating, you need to have confidence, at least initial introductory confidence. So I boil down confidence to I pick me energy. Low self-esteem is often associated with pick me energy. So when you have I pick me energy, you walk into a room and you would genuinely choose yourself. You're not hoping or wishing or praying that someone picks you. In your mind, you have already decided that you are interesting, that you are worthy, that you are enough, that you are fascinating, that you are a great lover. So you have I pick me energy. If somebody said, hey, you could have sex with anybody in this room, who would you choose to have sex with? First and foremost, you'd pick yourself. Which I don't know if that translates, but yeah, you'd pick yourself. In our easy access culture of seemingly unlimited options, a lot of us struggle with something called choice paralysis, where there's so many things to pick from that we get anxious even thinking about where to invest our time and energy. So when you're around somebody who has that surefire I pick me energy, that puts you at a sense of ease, that you have made a good decision because that person has decided that they are good enough. For short-term mating strategies, of course, it's helpful if you're physically attractive or if you understand how to be physically appealing to the target audience that you have selected. It's also helpful if you have charisma, good banter, if you're funny. But the other skill that people...
Ladies and gentlemen, the voice of reason has returned to the scene of the crime. Another intriguing discussion is on tap for today. Now, this topic is a tough topic, and I've had conversations with several people. I've coached a lot of people who have dealt with this, and this is tough. But we're going to dig in. Have you been left high and dry is the question. An intriguing look into the nature of sexless marriage. My goodness, this is tough. So, my theory here is wherever there's unhealed wounds, psychological, metaphysical, spiritual wounds that haven't been dealt with, entropy, obsolescence is built into the relationship. Over time, it will break down into chaos. And I keep telling people this, and maybe one day somebody will hear me. Relationships are for self-resolution. This is how we learn about ourselves. It's about the acquisition of self-knowledge. This is how you learn about some of the things you modeled in childhood, right? It's a mirror. Relationship is a mirror. You get to see yourself in real time, up close and personal. So today we're talking about a dry marriage. That's what it's called, a dry marriage. My God. A dry marriage is also known as a sexless marriage. These marriages in which sexual frequency is very low or entirely absent. For a marriage to qualify as a dry marriage, most experts agree that there must be no sexual activity for 1 year or longer. Now, that's different than what is considered short-term cessations. A short-term... Okay, we on a vacation. That's cool. I want to hear from you if you guys have experienced any of these complications. The number to dial is 1-800-920-1580. But the definition of a short-term cessation equates to a couple of weeks or even a couple of months. These types of interruptions, intimate interruptions, do not technically indicate a sexless or dry marriage. I have a special guest in the building, and it's going to be good because here's the cool part. A friend of mine, Doc Barham, was like, "Hey, man, do you know?" And I was like, "No, I don't know. But I do know her." This is what's crazy. When she walked up, I was like, "Hey." I met her in year 1 of KBLA's inception. And the whole happy birthday KBLA, the whole celebration was done at her Malibu estate. We have Katie Eldon in the building. Can we get it together?
I've got it together with you. I'm so excited.
I was like, I know you. Let's get it.
And by the way, it's not my estate. Let's be fair. That is our foundation. It's an office. It's not an estate.
Well, it looked very stately. I wanted to sit
thank
down
you.
and put my feet up. It was very nice.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But she is the creator, founder of Creative Visions Foundation. Can you give us a little insight into exactly what Creative Visions do?
I think you'd like it. Zoe, it's all about what you do. It's the belief that stories are the critical element in mobilizing people and engaging people, igniting their passion about something. So we exist to help people tell stories that need to be told about problems that need to be solved. And I wish we did more about sex because this is a very important issue.
Well, here it is. Here it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I got questions. Do you have conversation? The number to dial is 1-800-920-1580. You're listening to The Voice of Reason live on KBLA Talk 1580. We are about to get hotter than fish grease up in here, so you might as well get in here and be ready to talk about it. I have questions. What is a marriage without intimacy? Oh my goodness. 1-800-920-1580. Can you be happily married and not have a good sex life? Yeesh. Agree or disagree? As the research linked above shows, regular sex can increase affection. I was going to say infection. It can do that too. Can increase affection and relationship satisfaction for many couples. At the same time, though, frequent sex and a healthy sex life are not necessarily prerequisites for a happy, long-lasting marriage. True or false? If both partners consent to a lack of sex, they can connect intimately in many other ways. There then still is a possibility that they can stay married and be satisfied and happy and have a positive, long-lasting relationship. I want to know if your marriage is dry. Better said, is your bed dry? The number to dial, 1-800-920-1580. Do you schedule regular romance every week? What's the percentage of American marriages that are sexless? Oh my goodness, I believe that there are a lot. How does a sexless marriage affect the wife? Conversely, how does a husband respond to not getting any? We all, okay. When should we leave a sexless marriage? That's a heavy question. Because, you know, in our culture, we like to leave. Breaking up is probably one of the most empowering things we do in relationships because that's how we feel like we have power. Okay, I've had enough. I'm out. Right? I want to know, when is it time to leave? How much time do you give them? Do you wait the whole year to be classified as a sexless marriage? This is heavy. Do you leave if they have a mental disorder? Do you leave for boredom? Do you leave because of low self-esteem? Do you leave because you guys have different sex drives? Do you leave because of erectile dysfunction? Do you leave because of problems with porn use? Do you leave because of stress? Unresolved conflict, anger, and resentment. I want to know when we come forward. The voice of reason shall throw it over to his guest, Katie Eldon, and she's going to share her story. Let's get it!
Reasons. The reasons that we're here, the reasons that we fear, our feelings won't disappear. You're listening to the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580. Tavis is like George and Wheezy. He's moving on up. Last year, Tavis was number 45 on the Talkers magazine list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America. Wait for it. Wait for it. The 2024 list was recently released, and Tavis has jumped to number 33 on the list of the nation's most important talkers, making him the highest-ranked African American on the coveted roster. Congratulations to Tavis Smiley from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580. We've got you black. Helping to broaden your political and moral imagination with our 2024 climate justice campaign. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Did you know your life insurance is an asset you can sell? I'm Jay Jackson, CEO of Abacus Life. For almost 20 years, Abacus has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors just like you. And at abacuspays.com, we've created a free policy value calculator so you can find out the worth of your policy in just seconds. There are no fees and no obligations. Get real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus. Learn more at abacuspays.com.
The breeze.
As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust new Febreze car vent clips, now with 3 times greater scent control, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with new Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing, which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs.
Picking up! Oscar!
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Granger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
You know you want some more. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello, beautiful. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Welcome to Wife Life with Gail. It is Thursday, and you know what goes down here on Thursday. Wife Life with Gail goes down here on Thursday. And tonight, I want to talk to you about a growing topic that people are kind of like just sweeping under the rug. Tonight, I'm going to talk about being your husband's roommate. How are you in a sexless marriage and are doing nothing about it? Did you know that 25% of marriages are sexless?
We're bringing sexy back. We're bringing sexy back.
Let's get it started. Potter, won't you give it up?
I love it! Wait a minute. 25% of marriages are sexless? That number's way too high. Let me just say this before I throw it to Kathy. All right, let me just say this, and I've said this. At the end of the day, it's easy to acquire a symbol. It's difficult to acquire what that symbol symbolizes. So, marriage. The wedding is a symbol. It's a ceremony. Ceremony means symbol. That's it. The ring. It's a symbol, right? But if you don't have what those things symbolize, you just have the ceremony. You just have the trinket. And I've been saying it for a long time, relationship is a spiritual school called the University of You. And if you are not doing you work, it doesn't matter. Your relationships will always be ephemeral. They'll always be flighty. Well, let me get my guest in here. Creator, founder of Creative Visions, Kathy Eldon. I met her before at an event for KBLA. I'm so happy to have you here. And apparently, this is the perfect topic for you because you have a concomitant experience.
I did.
Talk to me.
I did. And there's so many layers of this conversation that we can start here, but I think further down the line, I want to go into a different place, in different ages and different reasons why people may not be manifesting sex in the traditional way. So I think that's another conversation. But I was in what I would call a dry marriage, a good man, a very good man. But we had 18 years later, we had stopped connecting and had never really connected at that level of true depth of passion and intimacy that I think we as women certainly seek. And it's not always what men think we're trying for. And I think given the culture now with porn, with a lot of other influences that maybe we're even can be further apart from each other. But I actually wrote a book. I'm a writer, and I wrote a book called An African Affair. And in my book, I had a woman named Claire O'Donnell. Weirdly, someone pointed out to me later that my name Eldon is tucked away in the word O'Donnell, about a woman who was married to a very sort of uptight Brit, and who the guys kidnapped into southern Somalia. It was based on a true story. We were living in Kenya at the time, and it was almost impossible to get information on this guy. She goes to the coast, and she's frustrated in every possible way. She goes to the coast to try to figure out what the hell to do, how to get this guy back, her husband, and she meets a guy who she hires to take her up the coast to try and find the husband. And in the course of that journey, she falls in love with the guy. And it's naughty, it's wicked, she shouldn't have done it, but she did it. And in the course of that journey, she discovers herself as a woman, as a passionate, engaged, intimate, sexual, fulfilled, highly, really functional woman, which she had never felt before. Now the challenge is that they get up and they rescue the husband, and then you're left with, what is she going to do? Is she going to stay with the husband? Is she going to go to the lover? Well, I answered that question in a way that I won't tell you right now. But 2 years later, I fell in love with the guy I had described. It was like I absolutely created a vision of this scenario, and I met the guy. He was 8 years younger. He rode a motorcycle. Everything I described in my book. He was what they term a Kenya cowboy. That kind of wild child. They're very attractive and they're naughty, and I fell in love with that guy. It was a white Zimbabwean, and it was a deadly. He was described as a dangerous man to me. I fell in love with him. I discovered myself in every aspect of my, the intimacy that I had been seeking. I found. I lost my family. I lost my position, my home. I lost everything that I had created over 18 years. And what do you think happened in the end? Did I stay with the husband? Did I stay with the lover? What did I do in the book? What do you think I did?
What did you do? Please.
What do you think?
Did you marry him? Did you stay with him?
I did not. We would have killed each other. He was a Gemini like you.
Oh!
Yeah. What can I say? I'm sorry. That was not kind. No, that was wrong. That was evil.
Oh, God.
That was rude.
Geminis, we get the worst rap. Yeah, he was a Gemini like you.
Yeah, like seriously. I can see it all over. Yeah. But the third choice, which I didn't even know was possible, was no, you didn't have to go back to the husband because that was dry. And bless him, he and I came so far. But no, we're not going back. We're not going back. And the lover, we would have killed each other. It was so based on sexuality and that which wasn't really about other aspects maybe, that we would have probably never survived it. And so I decided to stay on my own and create myself as the person that I always maybe wanted to be. And now it's not an overnight thing, and then also having lost the family, the kids, the husband for a period of time. But having made that decision to create myself, and I won't say find myself, the idea of going and finding yourself, you don't want to find that old person. You want to create something brand new, I would say, or that's truly what you want. So that's what it did. And it took a hell of a long time.
I need a copy of this book because...
Oh, you're too young. Yeah, you are too young.
It reminds me of the clip that we just played. Why is it that sex with people that don't fit us, or... that is counterintuitive to what I believe. I believe everyone is a fit for where you are currently in your development.
Oh, yeah, that is so wise.
But why is it that the toxic sex is the best sex, and the sex with the person that we devote ourselves to sometimes just turns into
habit?
Cheese and crackers. But just tell me, why is it that way?
Yeah, but really, it's anything that is repeated. You know, when you have something for the first time, when you have chocolate ice cream with fudge sauce, and it's magnificent. But if you have chocolate ice cream every single night in the fudge sauce, you know, you get a little tired of it. And it's not fair. It's so wrong. It's not fair. But repetition is you know. So how are you going to, you know?
So she just said monotony is the problem.
Well, if you allow yourself to be monotonous, if you allow yourself to be boring, potentially, it's a tricky one.
Oh my goodness! What are some of the reasons for sexless marriages? I'm interested to know from my callers. The number to dial is 1-800-920-1580. Some people say early childhood traumas, sexual frustration, loss of identity, depression. How do we maintain the intimate spark? What is the source of intimacy? That's very big. Like how do we cultivate that? If we're love farmers, what seeds are we planting, and how are we irrigating the soil of the relation? I want to know if you forgot how to farm your love. When we come forward, the voice of reason shall continue this in-depth discussion.
He's on fire tonight. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is looking to take action following reports of a number of random attacks on women in the city. When asked about it, the mayor said many of the attackers are dealing with mental health issues, and his administration is pushing to get them removed from the streets. Adams, who is black, says he's speaking with crime prevention officers about doing some public service announcements on safety tips. The mayor's staff recommends women carry pepper spray, and he's looking at offering free martial arts courses for women. Pay raises are a part of Montgomery, Alabama's new city budget. Black Mayor Stephen Reed presented a budget plan of more than $330 million this week, which is a jump of 6.5% over the current fiscal year. That increase includes a 15% raise for police officers. All city employees will receive a 5% cost of living adjustment. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Let Express Employment Professionals help you hire for contract or full-time jobs. Forget about posting jobs, sifting through resumes, and interviews with unqualified applicants. Go to expresspros.com to find the location near you. That's expresspros.com.
Welcome to Chicago. A new chapter in black political history will soon be written in Chicago at the Democratic National Convention. KBLA Talk 1580 will be the only talk station in LA with 5 shows broadcasting live from the DNC in Chicago, August 19th through the 23rd. Dominic DePrima, Nicolai Corte, Ariva Martin, Adrian Shropshire, and Tavis Smiley will all be in Chicago, bringing the convention to you like no other talk station in Southern California for the critical issues and conversations that matter most to you. Keep it locked to KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got Kamala covered.
To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelinos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
Looks like Bobby needs a ride again.
Grab the keys. Let's take our auntie to the swap meet. Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, do it all in a Chevy SUV. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse limited models. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $28.60 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8% must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/1/24.
Hey, LA residents, it's planting season and the perfect time to get shade trees growing around your home. LADWP and City Plants are giving every resident up to 7 free trees. That's right, 7 free trees delivered right to your door. Trees are great for the environment, help improve air quality, and can help you save on your bill when you use less air conditioning to stay cool indoors. Learn more at ladwp.com/free trees. That's ladwp.com/free trees.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga.
My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age.
My mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust new Febreze car vent clips, now with 3 times greater scent control, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with new Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing, which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs.
Picking up! Oscar!
Watch out!
You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to the voice of reason with Zoe Williams. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
So what do I do when my husband still feels attacked when I tell him my feelings in a healthy way? How do I get my husband to change? The short answer? You can't. Let's close in prayer. Dear Lord, why? Listen, he's in charge of his own actions and reactions. He makes choices just like you do that affect your relationship in either a positive or a negative way. Now, of course, there are things that we can all do to set us up for the best chance at healthy communication and healthy conflict resolution and repair and reconnection after a hurt or a tear in the bond. But whether he accepts accountability or receives the opportunity to make things better instead of worse is completely his decision. But here's how you know if you're on a path towards individual self-reflection and emotional maturity. I made the mistake of making a video where I specifically told wives not to use blame or criticism in their communication with their husbands because it simply doesn't help anything. Boy, was that well received. Got about 200 angry women in the comments telling me how she doesn't need to do anything different. He does. Because remember, he's the toxic one. And if he wants to act like a baby, then I'll treat him like a baby. Okay, great talk. And this is a great example of the pursuer-distancer or anxious avoidant attachment styles. One person feels hurt and tries to reconnect through closeness and communication, which is great, but they often don't have the tools to do so, so they end up doing it with blame or shame or criticism, which causes the avoidant to do what? Right, they distance themselves even further. They feel attacked. They feel like you're calling them a failure, so they defend and make excuses. Now the anxious person feels more hurt and more invalidated and more unheard. Their needs for closeness still aren't being met, so they get louder and more critical and build up more resentment and get passive aggressive and blow up over something small and unrelated and lash out at them. You don't care. You never do this. You always do that. And the avoidant responds with kindness and empathy and repairs the hurt. And the reason you're laughing is because that never happens, does it? No, they're blindsided. They have no idea what's going on. And part of the problem with me not having self-awareness was that I wasn't aware of what was happening in my relationship. So I labeled her as overly sensitive or making me out to be the bad guy. And the cycle just goes round and round. No one's actually being vulnerable and communicating from a place of self, using when this happened, I felt X, and this is what I need to feel emotionally safe in this relationship.
Oh, God, he hurt my heart listening to all of that. Listen, relationships are likened to a spiritual supercomputer that gets programmed in childhood by people who don't know how to use it. That's what it is. You become what you model, and when you're modeling your parents, they're a work in progress because that is what it is to be human, right? To be flawed, right? So relationship in and of itself, spiritual in nature, although we put the social template and benchmarks ahead of that spiritual purpose. But if you were programmed, not everyone was, but if you were, most of us are, programmed by a computer programmer that didn't understand, right? The software. My God, are you uploading the software of resentment? Are you uploading the software of codependence? Are you uploading the software of narcissism? And we know narcissism is on a spectrum, whether it be the passive-aggressive version, the covert narcissist, or the aggrandized version, the malignant narcissist. Children in any environment will model who their primary caregivers are. And that stuff is almost like it's being encoded on your spirit. Heavy stuff. We got Kathy Eldon from Creative Visions in the building. And she's cooking with the rarest grease. She done hipped us to a book about her wild days in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, it was Kenya, but never mind. Now, that was in the actual story is in the memoir called In the Heart of Life. And
Wow.
I talk about what you're talking about. You know, we are encoded with software that just doesn't always work. And how do we get from that dysfunctional spiritual machine, whatever you wanted to call it, to having that empathy, compassion, awareness that we're all so damn human, you know?
Yeah.
How do we do that? How have you done it? I'm really curious. You're always asking us stuff, but I want to know about you.
Well, for me, and I'm not a pro at it, but for me, I think my ability to empathize in many cases, comes from my maladaptive attachment style. I believe it, I think I'm more anxious, preoccupied, so I'm more of a chaser, trying to prove to you that I'm worthy, As a kid, by the time I was 10 months old, I went into foster care.
Oh my God.
So I didn't meet my mother until I was around 5.
Wow.
So meeting someone that's your mom and she's a perfect stranger and she's like, no, I'm your mother. You have to adjust, right? So I think my maladaptive attachment style, again, is anxious, preoccupied, and I've always been the type of person in relationship with, what did I do? Can I fix it?
Fear of abandonment. Too,
yes,
is that thrown
exactly.
In there? I would think.
That's anxious, preoccupied.
Yeah.
So, hey, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Let me fix it. Can we work it out? I've always been that type. So I think learning that can be weaponized against you.
Yeah.
Like, because when the great Krishnamurti, he's my favorite philosopher, J. Krishnamurti, when he says relationships are a mirror, he said this in the 19th century sometime, right? Relationships are a mirror. And then when you start studying psychology and start to figure out John Bowlby's attachment theory, Mary Ainsworth, you start figuring these things out, and you realize the attachment styles, the maladaptive ones, are attracted to each other.
Yeah.
The avoidants are attracted to the chasers, the anxious. So, and it's just such a journey that you have to figure out who you are, even the low aspects, the dark aspects of who you are. And then you have to say, I'm okay with that. I'm going to look at those dark areas objectively and with empathy. I'm going to empathize. And this is how you're able to overcome them. Mm-hmm. If you spoil unhealed wounds by catering to their demands, which turn into expectations for our external partners, right?
Yeah.
If you cater to that unhealed wound, you'll be its slave for life, right? And it'll be everybody else's fault because they didn't bend the knee, right, to your unhealed wounds. What are your thoughts on what I'm saying?
Well, I think you're right. And I think what happens is we attract at our own level. You were talking about that earlier, that we tend to be, however enlightened or, uninformed or inexperienced we are, we tend to bring in people at that level.
Yes.
But the idea for you, for us, is how do we evolve? Because what will happen inevitably is those maladaptive, you're going to probably crash. You're probably not going to make that relationship, or it will be so unpleasant, or it will be so difficult, and then we will repeat it over and over again because we haven't learned how to shift our gears. Yeah. So how did you shift your gears? Because clearly you didn't. Did you have a foster father around?
I did.
And was that a good, healthy relationship?
He was amazing. I think my foster parents, they were the most, I would say, productive, safe, and healthy relationship that I had. The unfortunate part is it was taken away from me when I was still very young, and then I had to relearn. And then as I got older, as I became an adult, I had to relearn again. Like all of the stuff I learned after I left them wasn't right.
Are you still in touch with them?
They're gone. They're gone.
Yeah.
Like I said, we moved here in '79. I was 8, and raised in Pasadena. And I didn't see them until maybe '94.
Oh, man.
And when I saw them, it was like maybe a month or two before both of them died.
They must have been so happy to see
you.
Man. So proud of you.
Oh, my God. They were through the roof.
Yeah.
And it was great. I mean, but for me, it's just about being in relationships and discovering myself. Yeah. And my way of doing that is through philosophy. My love of philosophy and spirituality. And I started to see, Zoe, you're the problem.
You're enlightened, my friend. You're rare. That's amazing.
Jiddu Krishnamurti says it best for me, and it was one of the first things that I read. He said, the enemy is you, not the other. So when I wrote my book, The Relationship Dismount, How to Stick the Landing When Exiting a Toxic Relationship, I had a chapter in there that was called Claim Over Blame. Because oftentimes that's what we do. You know, the external is the problem. And that gives the internal a scapegoat to not deal with itself. And that's what relationships are for, the University of You. Listen, when we come forward, we're going to keep cooking this fish. I tell you, the fish grease is as hot as it's going to get. I got callers coming forward. It's going to get even better. Let's do it.
Is it good to you? More Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Around here, we don't believe in victimhood. We believe in raising our voices, amplifying black voices in the climate conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. J.D. Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number Limited Edition Smart Bed. Limited time. For J.D. Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
You know you want some more. It's the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Dream over land, my soul is from. I hear a hand stroke on the drum. Shades of delight, cocoa hue. Rich as the night, afro blue.
Other video you can go check out, 5 reasons women stop wanting sex. So that's another angle that I come from. Today we're going to go a little bit deeper and look a little bit more at the emotional and psychological experience that's happening in us as women that we shut down to sex. So before we get into all that, I want to share some of the comments with you that men have shared of what their wife has said to them about why they no longer want sex. One of them, I couldn't find it again to copy and paste it, but one of them said something like, very shortly after my wife and I got married, she looked at me and said, "Aren't you glad we're married now so we don't have to pretend that we like sex?" That's something a woman said. Here's another one. My wife told me after years of no sex, when I asked her why, she said, "You are my best friend, and the idea of sex with my best friend is gross," which is why she was only interested when we first met. That's an actual excuse that a woman gave. Another common one, she says that that her hormones are always low. Another comment from a man of what his wife shared. I've been reading about sexless marriages, and eventually during an awkward, heated conversation, I asked my wife about it. I said that sexless is usually less than 10 times a year. And then I asked my wife, how many times have we had sex in the last 10 years? Her answer, if it was once, it was one more than I wanted to. It's almost unbelievable how entitled we can feel as women to even let something so crush.
Friends and family, the voice of reason returns. These are some heavy statements, man, and a heavy topic. But let me just tell you, everything that is passionate will wane if you're not healed. When I listen to a lot of my psych friends, my psychologists and psychiatrist friends, I have to remind them, you guys are using the scientific method. So things that are spiritual might not make sense to you, right? And relationships are inherently spiritual. You say, well, Zoe, how can you quantify that? How can you prove that? We're not using the scientific method here, sir. So when I say, like, for instance, you hear people say, oh, I have empathy fatigue. That's because your empathy is weak. You live in a society that is bereft of empathy. Duh. Sure, you get tired of being empathetic. That's not a muscle you have worked out, right? Well, I don't have no forgiveness. I know. We live in an unforgiving society. It is what it is. It's killed or be killed. And so when you walk into a relationship and you have not reconciled who you are through what you've modeled, the breakdown of the relationship is actually an opportunity to see yourself, right? I always tell people, listen now, no one has the answer but you. Everybody that comes into your life is merely the question. And you've been carrying this answer, but you refuse to let it speak. So there's a performative quality to relationship. And before you can get comfortable enough to perform, there's this evaluative process. Who are you? Where are you from? What are you about? Can I trust you? Fear, ego, everything is in play because you've learned how to protect those wounds at all cost. And you've made the mistake of integrating your identity into the wound. So now you have a vested interest in not getting rid of it because you think it's a part of you. You think it is you. Do you see? So, if we're going to do this, I need to be able to trust you. Well, that's because you don't trust you. You have to be the embodiment of trust. So now trust is useless from anybody else. You have to be the embodiment of loyalty to your own soul, right? As the Hulnicks say over here at the University of Santa Monica. That's the name of their book, Loyalty to Your Soul. Most of us were never taught that, right? And one of the most powerful lines in that book is, it's not the issue that is the issue. It's how you respond to the issue that is the issue. Do you see how it all comes back to you? But so many people think happily ever after, Disney, Prince Charming, Princess Charming. Somebody's going to come in here with a broom that's going to sweep me off somebody got a broom. And that's not how it works. And part of, I would say, the side effects of not going on this lifelong journey of self-resolution, right? Part of the side effects of that, you might end up in a dry marriage. Kathy, your thoughts?
Well, yeah, and I guess I'd like to maybe head towards the nuances, the kind of layers of all of this. And I think some of your amazing people who are writing in and calling in are referring to it. Can you be happy in a marriage that may not have traditional sex? And are we going to call that a dry marriage? And I think it's important that at different stages of life, for instance, and before I came over tonight, when I just found out the topic, just before I came over, I was thinking, oh my God, what am I going to talk about? And I was with people who were older. And they, we kind of looked up how often do people have sex in different eras. So right now, the conversation is probably 40 to 35 to 50-year-olds, let's say. And then there are people who are older who are finding other ways of intimacy. And they can be as satisfying. And let's face it, nowadays, you don't have to have a partner to, be fulfilled, let's just say. But the intimacy, which is what often people are seeking through the sexuality, you can perhaps find that, or a spiritual connection. So I'm just going to defend or acknowledge that there are people out there who should not feel guilty because they may be in a relationship which is not traditionally sexual as everybody else might define it, but they are still finding great intimacy and joy in their relationships.
When we come forward, I want to ask Kathy about intimacy. What exactly is it? And is it different from sex? Or is sex kind of its emissary? When we come forward, the voice of reason shall continue this bonfire.
Shades of delight, go for you, rich as the night, afro blue. Dream of a land, my soul is from.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is looking to take action following reports